Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's session we are going to discuss about all modifiers in Java and where they are applicable. So let's see, in Java there are two types of modifiers. One is access modifier and another is non-access modifier. So out of these 12, 4 are access modifier. So these first 4, private, protected, default, public, these are access modifier, and static, abstract, synchronized, final, native, volatile, transient, strict FP, these are non-access modifier. Let's see for constructor which are applicable. So for constructor only access modifiers are applicable and non-access modifiers are not applicable. For method, these volatile and transient, these are not accessible. So out of 12, volatile and transient, these are not applicable for method, and other 10 are applicable. Let's see for variable. So for variable, all access modifiers are applicable. With that, static is applicable, final is applicable, volatile and transient, these are applicable. For block, we use static block and synchronized block. So that's why synchronized and static, these are the only modifiers which are applicable for block. Let's see for a classes. So we have two types of classes, outer class and inner class. For outer class, 5 modifiers are applicable. These are default, public, then abstract, then final, and strict FP. So whatever modifiers are applicable for outer class, those are applicable for inner class. So default, public, abstract, final, and strict FP. So instead this like private, protected, and static, these 3 are also applicable for inner classes. So for outer class, 5 are applicable, for inner class 8 are applicable. Let's see the interfaces. So outer interface and outer interface and outer class, these are the kind of same. So here for outer class, so for outer class 5 are applicable, but for outer interface 4 are applicable. So for interface, final is not applicable. So similarly, the whatever modifiers applicable for outer interface, these are applicable for inner interface. So for outer and inner interface, default is applicable, then public is applicable, then abstract is applicable, and strict FP. So for outer interface, final is not applicable, so final is also not applicable for inner interface as well. And with these 4, 3 are applicable for inner. These are private, protected, and static. Let's see for a enum. So in enum, for outer enum, 3 modifiers are applicable. These are default, public, and strict FP. So likewise for inner enum, default, public, strict FP. So instead this Three more are modifiers are applicable. These are private, protected, and static. I hope you people got the better understanding. Let's see the important conclusion related to modifiers. The first is final modifier is not applicable for interface. As you know, in interface we doesn't have implementation. That's why we can't declare interface as a final. The second conclusion is every enum is by default final. That's why we cannot use final modifier with the enum explicitly. It is by default final, but we can't apply final. Next is final and abstract modifier. These are not applicable for enum. As we have seen here, for enum by default final is there. So if the enum is final, then abstract is not applicable. So final modifier is the only modifier which is applicable for local variable. So local variable are those variables which are declared inside a method, and their scope is only for that method only. And with that local variable we just use final modifier. We can't use public, private, protected or static. The next is all access modifiers are applicable for constructor, but non-access modifier are not applicable. So as we have seen in the previous step that what are the access modifier and what are the non-access modifier. So only access modifiers are applicable for constructor, and these are the public, private, protected and default. Let's see the next. Native modifier is only applicable for method, not applicable with class, interface, variable, enum and constructor. So this native modifier or native keyword is only applicable for method. So we can't use this native keyword with any other like variable, interface or classes. We just use this native with the method only. Let's see the next. Transient and volatile modifier are only applicable for variable. So we can't use this transient and volatile with the interface and enum, constructor or method. So we just use this modifier transient and volatile with variable only. The next is synchronized and static. These are modifiers which are applicable for block. So out of 12, only 2 are useful for block, other are not applicable. Let's see the next. All modifiers are applicable for method except transient and volatile. As we have seen, transient and volatile, these are only applicable for method. That's why these are not applicable for method. The next is public and default. These modifiers are applicable for method, variable, constructor, classes, interface, enum, but these are not applicable for block. With the block we have seen only synchronize and static. These modifiers are only applicable for block. So this is for today's session. So please subscribe to my channel and thanks for watching.